What's up, guys? This is Jag again with the JB podcast. So today I'm going to be doing the awards, but first I want to say the NBA is doing something really weird this year, where usually within the first few weeks of the playoffs they announce every award gradually, every few days, and then whoever wins has a speech, yada yada yada. And it's great. But this year, for some reason, they're waiting till after the finals, June 26th, and having an award show on TNT, which I guess it's to get more ratings for TNT, and you can get the opinions of the Charles and Shaq and stuff, which will probably get views. But it kind of feels cheap to me because, uh, feel cheated in a way because, especially this year, whoever wins MVP, it's going to be emotional between James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Defensive Player of the Year, if Draymond Green or Rudy Gobert gets it, their speech would be great. And I think everyone that wins one of the major awards deserves their own personal time. But if it's I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna go. Maybe they'll pre-record the speeches or something, and then they'll just play them during the award show. But if it's just everyone's there, like in a Grammy type setting or a ESPYS type setting or something, and then they go up and say a 3-minute spiel. I want the full experience. I want their team to be up there with them. I want it all. So it's gonna be kind of iffy if they do it in a way that feels like they're rushing it or anything. Because I want to see everyone's speeches. Kevin Durant's was great. Steph Curry's were decent. His first one was pretty good. His second one was unanimous. Um, and Kawhi Leonard never says anything, but we all know if Draymond Green wins it, he's gonna have a lot to say. So I just want to see the whole speech. So hopefully they still have speeches, still have everything like that, and maybe they just pre-record the speeches because they vote at the same time. They vote. I think voting ends on Friday, so they're all voting and they'll have the results. They're just not announcing them to the public, but maybe they'll announce them to the specific people, and then have their own little ceremony thing and then just play those on TNT later. But anyway, let's get into the video. So for this, I'm going to be focusing on the most improved player, the coach of the year, the defensive player of the year, and the MVP, obviously. And then in another video, I'm going to do all NBA because that's a lot more people, a lot more to talk about. And I don't want an hour long video on YouTube, that'll take 20 hours to upload. So first, with the most improved player, it honestly felt like a wash. It felt like a sweep for Giannis Antetokounmpo or the Greek Freak just a month or two into the season because he was averaging career highs in everything. He was leading his team in literally all 5 statistics, which hasn't been done since LeBron in 2009, I think. And then before that was Kevin Garnett in 2004 with the Wolves. And what's even more interesting, this year, Giannis is actually the first player in NBA history to be top 20 in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. So, and he's only 22. So, the sky is the limit. He had his first All-Star game this year. Had a great game, 30 points, I believe. So the sky's really the limit. I think he's probably going to win it. Some other contenders, Gordon Hayward is averaging career highs across the board, just not as drastically as Giannis. He was an all-star, though, so got rewarded right there. Some other players like Nikola Jokic, his per 36 numbers are ridiculous. He probably borderline all-star if the Nuggets were winning more. And yeah, that's pretty much it, but I think Giannis is going to walk away with this one. Next is Coach of the Year. And this one, just a few months into the season as well, seemed like a wash with Mike D'Antoni just sweeping it because the Houston Rockets were honestly potential. Like everyone had them at 500, like they were last year, barely making the playoffs or even missing the playoffs. You know what I mean? So it's like everyone thought Mike D'Antoni came in here, he changed the whole team. They run faster, they shoot threes, yada yada yada. He's winning this, but then a few coaches did something crazy, and that was, well, first off, let's just say Coach Popovich. He's overachieving once again, probably maybe the best coach ever. Another 61 team back to back, first time in his career. So he's always in that running. Steve Kerr, you can't like understate what he's done. Third straight 65 plus win season, which is ridiculous. And then Eric Spoelstra, his team started 11 and 30, 19 games under 500, and no team ever that's at one point in the season was under 500 by 19 games has made the playoffs, and no team ever has reached 500 or better at the end of the season. So it's all really contingent on if they win tomorrow and if either Indiana loses or Chicago loses, which I doubt because the teams Indiana and Chicago both face with Atlanta, they've already clinched a spot. They're probably going to be resting. And then the Nets, they basically are probably going to get the first pick because they're so bad this year. Which sucks because then it'll go to Boston and they're still going to be rebuilding for like 3 more years. But so they're resting too, all of their actual good players, and they don't have a lot of them. So that should be a pretty easy game for Chicago to win that one. But if Indiana or Chicago does somehow fall and Miami wins the game, wins their game, and then they make the playoffs, I think Eric Spoelstra should have a serious chance at Coach of the Year. But other than that, I'd say Mike D'Antoni is still there, and even you can look at someone like Quinn Snyder, of the Jazz. I mean, they went from ninth seed to fifth seed, maybe fourth seed, after tomorrow, and they went from a 40 win team to now 50 wins, maybe 51 by tomorrow. So you never know. But I think Mike D'Antoni's going to snag it unless the Heat can catch a break and make the playoffs and get to 500, be the first team ever. And then hopefully we can see Dion Waiters also in the playoffs because when he went down, they were probably on pace to get at least a 7th or 6th seed even, but then he went down with that sprain. The team hasn't been the same since, but who knows? If they get lucky, anything can happen. For Sixth Man of the Year, there's really only 2 people really in the running that have been in the running all year. Okay, you can say Jamal Crawford. He's always in the running. He's won it the most times in NBA history with 3 times, okay? Which is kind of weird because I think John Havlicek, it has the most points scored in Celtics history, and he was a 6-man. So I'm surprised he never won it more. But Jamal Crawford's always going to be in that race, especially with all the injuries that the Clippers have had, and they're still the 4th seed. So maybe. But really the 2 others were Lou Williams when he was with the Lakers and Eric Gordon. And he's been basically the leader the whole time. And then Houston went and said, okay, we'll take out the competition and bring him to our team. Lou Williams came to the Rockets, and they're both great bench players. Probably the 2 best bench scorers, at least, in the whole league. So it's really a competition between them 2 on the same exact team. But I think Eric Gordon is going to take that lead that he's had the whole year, and he's probably just going to run with it. I think he's getting 6th Man of the Year. For Defensive Player of the Year, it's kind of tricky this year because there's 3 people really in the running and then 1 kind of outside chance. The first 3, Kawhi Leonard, obviously, probably the best defender still in the league. 2-time winner already, reigning 2-time champ. If he wins it again, he's probably solidified himself as one of the best defenders in NBA history, which is crazy because he's only 25. The only negative against his campaign for Defensive Player of the Year is all of the metrics, and like all the media, all the coaches, all the executives are really into analytics now. and all of the advanced stats say the Spurs are better defensively when Kawhi is off the floor. Which, like, you got to factor in when he's on the floor, he's probably with starters. When he's off the floor, the bench is probably, you know, with some better defenders in there, like Danny, when he goes off the floor, Danny Green is still on the floor. Deadman, who saw him coming? He's a pretty good defender, pretty good rim protector, and he's on the bench. So he's probably sucking up some of those minutes. And then where Kawhi has to carry the load for Tony Parker, who has really slowed down later in his career, especially defensively. Pau Gasol, never been a great defensive player. David Lee, never been a great defensive player. Patty Mills, never been a defensive player. You know what I mean? So it could just be who they're on the floor with at what time. But against his campaign, is all the advanced metrics do say they're better. But who knows? Two-time reigning champ. The media loves him. He could always win it for a third straight year. The second one, Draymond Green. Runner up last year. He's been really pushing it for it this year. I don't like some of his tactics still. He's still kicking people in the junk. He's still talking a lot of trash, but that's his personality. And you can't really take away from his actual defensive effort. He's been great defensively this year, especially late in games, very clutch on the defensive end, saving probably about 5 maybe losses for Golden State. It's hard to say because they have so much firepower, but he's saved probably about 5 games for them this year late in the game against good players even like James Harden. So, and he kind of looks like the front runner right now because Golden State had 37 nationally televised games. The media is pushing for him. They're a fan favorite, Golden State is. A lot of people like him still, so fans probably want him in, even though he's kind of gained this bad rep for himself. And then the third one is Rudy Gobert. And it's not just me being a homer here. I'd really like to see Rudy get it. One, because he's easily, far and away, the best defensive big man in the league. Great rim protector. And he can actually switch out and rotate, He's not the best outside defender, but he can show hard. He can do all the stuff that a team defense needs a big man to do. Mostly he's protecting that rim, and he's gained high praise from players like Kevin Durant, who's one of the best finishers in the whole game. And all the advanced metrics say it's really close between him and Draymond Green, and they each are favored in some stats, and other stats they're a tiny notch down of one another. So it's going to be close, but I want to say Rudy Gobert, but I think Draymond Green is going to pull this one out, get his first Defensive Player of the Year. And again, I really want to see his speech, so hopefully they have a speech for him at the awards ceremony. And lastly, we have MVP. Okay, everyone knows this year has been crazy. It's kind of been too hyped up, I would say, because ever since KD left, the very beginning of the season, people have been saying, oh, is Russell Westbrook going to take this MVP? Is he going to take over? Is he going to do this? Kawhi Leonard was always on the come-up, finished second in voting last year. He could win it. James Harden with Mike D'Antoni has been amazing, turned into the best passer in the league assist-wise. So it's been a really tight race. And then LeBron, obviously, is still doing what he does. He's my favorite player, but I don't think he really will win it, mainly because his team isn't that good, considering where people projected them to be. They only have 51 wins. They're probably going to be the second seed. And it's not really LeBron's fault, per se. He's missed 7 games. They've lost all of them without him. Kawhi Leonard's missed 8 games, and they're 7-1 without him. And Coach Popovich is like a god. So, but the media loves Kawhi. It seems like no matter how good of a roster is put together to center around Kawhi, or even how bad the players are when Kawhi's not there, Coach Popovich finds a way to put them together. And really his system, ball movement, is anyone can play that style, if they have the energy. That's why Golden State is really good as well, plus the firepower. I, I was riding with James Harden all year on this, but I think the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, which is really unfair to James Harden, because one, he hurt his wrist pretty badly. I thought he should be resting for the playoffs and say, we have a chance to make the finals. If I'm him, I'm saying we actually maybe have a chance to beat Golden State and get to the finals. First time since Hakeem did it. So if I was him, I would have been resting the past like 10 games because they already clinched the third seed. They're not going up or down. So I would have been resting. But he's like, no, right before he injured his wrist, he said, I think MVP should play all 82 games. Then he injured his wrist. He hasn't been the same since. So I would have liked to see him resting. I thought he already had MVP locked up. And then Westbrook just went beast mode. Third 50-point triple-double. Hit the game winner on Denver. And Denver's not that good of a team. And it was basically everyone saying that's the deciding factor for Westbrook to get it, which I think is kind of sad because James Harden did hit a wide open game winning layup, so the smarter decision than an almost half court three, in my opinion, you know. But Westbrook does it flashier, 50-point triple double in that. I think either he's gonna walk away with it, but Kobe said this a few weeks ago, and a lot of media members were saying, why not? Why not have a co MVP? They both are deserving of it. They both are carrying their respective teams to heights that people didn't really expect. So I'd really like to see co MVP. It could be another situation where Charles Barkley gets 38 first place votes and Magic Johnson gets 27 first place votes, but he gets more second place votes than Barkley did. And so all the points add up and Magic Johnson barely shaves over him. Could be a situation like that. But if they somehow could make co-MVPs, because they've done co-Rookie of the Year, Jason Kidd, Grant Hill. So if they did do co-MVPs, that'd be really nice to see. And plus, they're both really good friends. So that'd be great to see as well. Oh, yeah, and last thing, please don't use the teammates argument, okay? The Rockets probably have the better constructed offensive team because they have a lot more shooters, but all of their good shooters aren't great defenders. Eric Gordon, not a good defender. Ryan Anderson, never been a good defender. James Harden has stepped up his game, but still, not a very good defender, okay? And then you go to the OKC side, okay, they have Canner, but he's coming off the bench playing 18 to 20 minutes a game, and when in that time, he's an amazing scorer, great rebounder. But you got Steven Adams, pretty good defender. Andre Robertson, probably going to make all-defensive team this year. Oladipo, athletic. Oladipo is probably the best player not named Harden or Westbrook on both teams. And Harden is making guys like, Lou Will maybe, but he's coming off the bench as well. So Eric Gordon, he was nothing really that special. He was always injury riddled. He comes with James Harden, and he's probably going to win six-man, So it's really hard to say who's getting it, but I'd really like to see co-MVPs, but if they don't, I think Westbrook's walking away with this one. Okay, guys, let me know what you guys think. Who do you think are going to be walking away with these awards? And what do you think about the NBA changing it to the 26th of June after the playoffs, after the finals? I mean, we don't want to wait that long. And we want to see the speeches. We want to see the tears. We want to see Durant crying, you're the real MVP, when Westbrook is raising that trophy, okay? We want to see all of that. So let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think it's good for the NBA? Maybe it just extends the viewership a little bit longer? I don't know. I don't personally like it, but let me know what you guys think in the comments or on Twitter or on Facebook. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.